Hi y'all, I'm Leland. Today I'm going to be moderating our student experience panel. So just to start it off for everybody that's watching or is going to tune in, how about we go around, just say our names, what year we are, and maybe where we're from.
My name is Scott Coven. I'm a 2L and I'm originally from Northern Virginia, although most recently I'm coming from Boston.
I'm Kat Spencer. I am a 3L. I grew up in Richmond and went here for undergrad and decided to stay for 3 more years for law school.
I'm Kevin Rodriguez. I'm a 1L and I'm from Winchester, Virginia, so not far.
I'm Michaela Lee. I'm a 2L. I'm from a very, very small town called Victoria, Virginia.
Wonderful. Okay, we're just going to jump right in. Feel free to answer more than one of these questions. You can take it wherever you want. And you can also chime in, not just one person has to answer each one. But we're going to start it off just saying, how would you describe the culture at W&L? Maybe what are your favorite things here, and something that you didn't expect to love, but ended up really valuing. You want to start us off, Scott?
Yeah, I can start us off. Yeah, I think the coolest feature about W&L is just how intimate of a community it is. I think that there are certain things that no matter where you go to law school, they're gonna be present. You know, part of it is just we're all very high achieving people. We all want to do really well, so that can naturally just lead to like some competition, things of that nature. That's going to be prevalent in any law school. But what makes it different at W&L is that we can sit down, talk to each other, and just the small nature of the community. It makes it really easy to work together as we go through the really rigorous process of law school. I think that's what makes us unique, and I think that's the defining part of our culture. I don't know about things necessarily that I didn't expect. I guess Lexington is a small town, and so I don't know if I expected to just be able to have such a great social life while being here. I think the social aspect has been really nice. Like I found that we can go out and have fun together. I wasn't sure about that when we came down to Lexington, but I have found that that's been totally possible. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I guess because it is a small town, that reflects on how close we are as a community, and that's what I joined W&L because of how small it was. I like that. I think getting to know someone personally is a benefit, and coming together as a class, everyone, professors, students, everyone here wants you to succeed. There's no outward jealousy. If you're doing better, they all cherish that and wish that upon other people as well.
Yeah, I can agree. The close-knit feel of W&L definitely drove me here also. It's inevitable to know most of your colleagues or the other students and most of the faculty and their background, which also lends itself when you're here and you don't know what you want to do after law school, or if you have a very specific specialty, you know which student is also interested in that or which faculty member is also interested in that. So it's very easy to make connections within the law school.
Yeah, I think you and I saw this because we kind of had a unique 1L experience that you did get to know your classmates and your professors really well when you could, and everyone wanted to see each other succeed. It wasn't, if you had to miss class for an interview, or even if you weren't feeling well, people wanted to share their notes and help you so that you weren't falling behind because we were all achieving the same thing together.
Mm-hmm. I agree with all of you. I think the community is something that is just unique to W&L. But I was wondering if one of you could talk about maybe how you became part of the community or how easy it was to kind of get involved. I know that going to law school, some people might have been dreaming since they were little to be an attorney, but other people might just be like, I majored in philosophy, where do I go from here? And end up in law school and you're kind of daunted by the new people, the new classes, the new language. So maybe just talk about how it was to kind of ease into W&L and what that looked like.
I mean, I can start since we've been here the longest. I think it was really easy, to get involved. The school gives you a lot of great opportunities. We have our student organization fair in the fall, and you're just signing up for email lists left and right and figuring out what you want to be involved with. And it's really neat to see throughout the years, the way that people are involved. I think every 2L or 3L I talk to, we've all got 3 clubs or a journal and an externship or research assistant work with a professor. So it's great to be able to choose your own path, but at the same time, coming in from a family where I didn't have any lawyers, it was a little scary at first. Like you said, there's a new language and you've got classmates who, know what they've wanted to do and know the language because they've lived in it with family or whatever. And So the school really helps that transition as well. Professor Eggers' academic success program is amazing. And we have our first generation student union now, which is a great like peer support program. So yeah, I mean, it's just easy to get involved here, I think.
Mhm. Could one of you talk about your experience? I know you've mentioned peer support for the first generation organization. Would one of you talk about your experience with the Courageous Fellow program, or just like student-to-student mentorships, and how that helped kind of during your orientation and then maybe your first year?
Yeah, I guess I can speak to that as the 1L. I value I always say it wrong. I say Courageous?
Courageous, yeah.
Okay, Courageous. I value that so much because it's sort of like having your hand held by someone that's done it before, so it's not as daunting and scary. And plus you get to know the 2Ls and 3Ls that do it on a more personal level, and whatever area of concentration they have, they can give you the textbooks for the class, they can tell you what and how they did it to get to where they are in their career, and I think it's, I don't know if other law schools have it, but I value that W&L has it, for sure.
If I can just give a quick anecdote on that. So Leiden was my Curtis Fellow. And there was this moment where I was getting really swamped 2 or 3 weeks into my first semester of law school because I kept trying to write these really long briefs for every case I read. A brief is just essentially, a 2-page summary of kind of, how the case goes. And I was writing these summaries and I was like, man, I'm falling behind, and I hate doing this. And Leiden just, she gave me this like wisdom of having done it before, where she was like, you don't need to know all of those details you're putting in your brief. You need to know the rule, the pertinent facts. And she kind of showed us like how she just writes in her notebook these little like 6-line or 10-line little summaries of the case. And I've started doing that ever since, and it's worked really well for me. And so just having somebody who's been through it before, who can tell you when you're wasting your time on something, when you're taking too much time on something, was just super valuable.
I like the structure of it too. I always tell people with tours and everything, especially this time of year being the beginning of second semester, it's a stressful time as a 1L because grades come out, ranks come out, and all of those things. And I love that the Courageous program recognizes that and goes ahead and like sits down and has a meeting with their 1Ls and it's like, hey, like it's okay. It doesn't, it's not the end of the world and all of these things. Plus the fact that they're your first connection with career services. I think W&L has really succeeded in the way that we manage career expectations. We don't let you start meeting with a career service counselor right away because you're not going to get a job. But the Courageous Fellows are there to like help you know when you need to do it, what you need to do, and I think it takes a lot of that sort of stress out of our 1L experience, but you can focus on your academics for your first semester.
Well, since you all talked about Courageous Fellows, I'll talk about, I guess, student-to-student mentorship programs. With BALSA, Black Law Student Association, we have a mentor program, and I know other organizations, First Generation Student Union, they also have a mentor program. My BALSA mentor was actually head Courageous now, Kobe. Definitely useful when I'm 10 o'clock at night and I'm freaking out about what Quimby is, because I don't know what Quimby is. And I'm like, everyone's using Quimby, I don't use Quimby. And so I text him, he's like, voiceover, this is what Quimby is, what is what you use it for, and I'm like, this was very helpful, I need to start using Quimby. So definitely when you just have those strange questions or you're having this dilemma about something that's so wild and you know nothing about, you can reach out to your student-on-student mentorship programs or your Courageous Fellow whenever you want.
And like Scott said, you can still talk to your Courageous Fellow even after they're not your Courageous Fellow anymore.
Truly, I just texted my Courageous Fellow the other day. She's out of law school. So I was wondering if one of you could talk about maybe the student-to-faculty relationship. I know that we really pride ourselves on student-to-student, and we have just built-in mentorships and relationships. But I know that the student-to-faculty ratio, which is 6-to-1 at W&L, is something really key and essential. So maybe how has that helped your relationships, either in class or office hours, anything?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I guess I can speak to it.
Go for it.
In my undergraduate school, UVA, I never went to office hours with professors because of how big the lectures were. But here, it was almost enjoyable talking to the professor after class and getting to know them on a one-on-one basis. And even some professors let you like take them out, go out with them, have a meal, and it's nice to know them on a more personal level.
I definitely agree with that. And the professors here, I just want to say, I mean, the faculty is amazing. I think our faculty is as great as any that I've seen at any other law school. I mean, they're just so well connected. They're experts in their field. And the fact that we can then basically they're available to us. The fact that we can go and have one-on-one conversations with these people who are publishing these crazy articles, who are, on the news or whatever, but we can just go into their office and have, like you were saying, just, a really frank conversation with them, just a one-on-one conversation. That's what's so cool about the school. And people encouraged me when I was a 1L, if you want to work for a professor as a research assistant, just contact them. Just simply contact them, and that's exactly what I did. And it was the easiest process ever. I just said, hey, can I work as your research assistant? They said, yeah, I'll put you down. If you develop that relationship, it's like, they're really happy to work with you as well. So
it's nice to get to know them as people too. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about, Lexington is so small. Not all of our professors live here. Like obviously some commute from bigger areas because they do have other things going on. But for the ones that live here, you see them out and about. Like you go out for a meal with your friends and they're hanging out and you talk with them. Or one of our research librarians lived in the same building as me, so like we were neighbors and got to know each other, and so that was really fun. Because I don't think you get that everywhere, especially if you're in a bigger area. So it's nice to be able to kind of see them as your professors, but see them as people. It takes, I think, a lot of that kind of scariness out, especially once you're in the classroom and, cold calls and all of those things. You can really connect with them.
If I could describe the relationship between student and faculty in one word, it would be reliable. It's inevitable for you to form connections with at least one of your professors. Even if it's not your professor, you can still form that relationship real easy with professors here just by visiting their office. They invite you in. They want to talk about any and everything. I've still been visit professors from 1L just to talk about my life and what's going on and what I'm doing next, and hearing all their advice. It always helps me and it makes me feel good about myself.
Yes, I found you have to block out a certain amount of time when you walk into office hours. Because you're like, I'm down for 20 minutes, I'll be here for 45.
Yeah, and they're super, I've never heard of any professor getting mad if you send them 6 emails. They don't, they're just, if they don't get back to you, they're busy. It's not that they're annoyed by their students.
Right.
They don't have time for us.
In a similar vein, would one of y'all talk about maybe the student to administrators relationship? I know that all of us have relationships with the admissions office, but maybe how easy it is to access just the dean, Dean Wilson, maybe the dean of student affairs, because all of them are kind of just in the same area as the faculty, and you see them almost just as much as everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're going through a definite transition this year. We've got a brand new dean. We just got a new dean of student affairs. But already, gosh, I think we've got 3 emails about come say hi, come meet with us, we're here, come sit on my, I know our new dean of students is come hang out on my couch and just chat in my office. She's super sweet. And I think in a way, our school administration is often a beloved part of the school. We all found out that Wendy Rains is not going to be here, and it changes how the school feels. And I think at some other law schools, it might be oh, they do what in the administration? Okay, good for them, but you get to connect with them as well. And I mean, especially if you're involved in organizations, you get to know them very well, very quickly.
We will pivot a little bit and we've talked a lot about kind of the makeup of our school, how easy it is to get involved in our school. Why don't you maybe talk about the activities that you do, in particular, some clubs that you've really enjoyed, maybe an event that has happened that your club has put on that a lot of people have gone to or that you enjoyed? Go for it, Scott.
I guess
So I guess student organizations, BALSA, Black Law Student Association, they put on a bunch of events, weekly events. We have social Wednesdays where we go and hang out and just communicate with each other during the week, which is fun, a little breather. FGSU is good for having connections with students that are also first generation students. Recently, Strength Club has been my savior. I haven't been in the gym since undergrad, probably freshman year undergrad, and it's good because I don't feel embarrassed about myself because I haven't worked out in forever. But it's good to form new hobbies while I'm here because I will completely abandon them if I don't. So that's something I do in my free time, and I'm able to meet with people I know.
Is the Strength Club the boxing one?
No, that's a different
No,
club.
that's
a different club?
There's
Oh,
Strength
okay.
Club and there's
Do you box
Boxing
in
Club.
Strength Club?
We do a lot in Strength Club. But I want to do the boxing too. I'm interested.
I saw you all at the gym, I think, a couple times last semester, and I was like, what's going on? Looks like a party over there. Y'all having so much fun. It's like,
Yeah,
what's cool?
it's a party over here.
Kind of going straight club.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of my favorite things that I tell my other friends at other law schools is that we have the flag football
Mhm.
every Friday, and I tell them that, and they're so astounded that the law school puts that on and lets us get like our frustrations out and everything. And I love it. Like I look forward to it now for the next coming fall.
Yes.
Will you do just like a little tidbit of like what flag football is?
Oh. You form teams and you just basically play, and then there's the trash bowl, and then there's like the championship bowl, and it's basically just an ongoing season of your team. If you were on my team, continually losing, it's like every game just losing, but it is so much fun. And the law school puts it on. Even if you're not playing, you can come sit and watch and
Yep.
meditate. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
A
awesome.
cheerleader.
To the year of play and this year I was officially retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things I think is neat about W&L. Like we've talked about, we're not super academically competitive with each other.
Mhm.
That being said, outside of the classroom, competition gets wild, right?
Yeah.
Physically competitive.
Yeah.
Chili cook-off, the most competitive event at this school.
But, you know,
It's okay next year once Christina
Yeah.
Next year,
and Molly are here.
Yes.
They just dominated. But I love that there's different like organization or like school sponsored events. Like we just found out about Barristers, which is going to be in March, which is super exciting. Everybody gets to get dressed up and blow off some steam. The 2Ls have Over the Hump coming up, which we had a ton of fun at. It was one of the best events. But for me personally, I am on the pro bono board, and so we do a lot of community service opportunities, which is really nice. We do a canned food drive every fall, and just really connecting with our local community, because you are here for 3 years for law school, but you're also, you live here, and this is something we all want to contribute to.
Mhm. I will say one of my favorite things for the pro bono board, I did a videoed reenactment of Pearson v. Post.
Yes.
By one on year that we filmed for like a local middle school or high school, so they could see kind of like the courtroom in action. And I got to be the judge and like pound the gavel and everything.
Oh, nice.
I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube.
Oh god. I will never watch that. But it was really fun.
Everybody was wearing their face shields.
Yeah.
So we were like reenacting the 1800s, but with COVID face shields.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
people had like fox puppets. So like
Oh,
the
fox.
Yeah.
And stick ponies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I mean I can add my own experience. So we, my organization, American Constitution Society, does a SCOTUS preview every single year, Supreme Court preview, where professors will come, and it's a chance for students to sort of see the professors in action, talking about their area of expertise and an upcoming consequential case that's going to happen in the Supreme Court, and it's always like totally packed in the room. And that leads me to my point of just not only are you getting to hear how awesome your professors are, talking about their expertise, but also, and just how important the case is, but you also get to see, wow, half the law school is in one room, because that's how small we are. When the moot courtroom is packed, it means that like basically half the law school is there.
Yeah.
And then we all go get dinner afterwards. And I think that that's like a really normal part of events at W&L, is we'll do our thing, and then we'll kind of like have an after dinner where we'll socialize, and you honestly just get to meet so many people that way, and you recognize so many people after a while because you've seen the same people at events. So that was a really cool event that I helped run this year, and that is just a ton of fun every single year.
I'm gonna miss that. Like now, just talking about this, I'm like sad to graduate. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
I remember the SCOTUS preview was kind of my first perspective of how just brilliant the professors were. I know that you get that in class where you hear them speak and they talk about their specialty, but you only learn so much like the elements of torts. But when you heard like Trammell give his speech
Yes.
about the
Yeah.
upcoming cases, or Hasbrook, I was like, good gosh.
It's
I'm writing down everything that you were saying.
Well,
It's
you're
a
a
way to
one.
survey professors too,
Yes.
right? So you're like, wow, I
Yes.
really liked that 10-minute presentation they gave. I'm gonna take a class with them.
When I was a 1L, I remember going to SCOTUS preview and not understanding a single thing. I was like, you guys are brilliant, but I don't know what you're talking about. The standards. It was probably different for you, but for me, I was like, I have no idea. And then it was cool though going as a 2L, because you still don't really know what they're talking about, but you have a better idea.
Yeah, you kind of put it together.
And then the 3L, you probably
I'm
can
with you
actually.
on that.
Yeah.
Still didn't know what they were talking about because it's like super niche stuff, but it's like that's really cool that you found a way to like get. Because I remember there was one, I can't remember what professor presented on it, but it was like a Native American adoption.
Shaughnessy.
Yeah, Shaughnessy. And it's like, I don't even know how you like get into the niche issue of that, because law school is all about like broad,
Mhm.
overarching topics, but it's really neat to kind of get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think it really helps. It's probably that event, but also a lot of events, that there's something that stimulates the W&L student, and then after the fact, you pay attention to what's on the SCOTUS docket.
Yes.
Or maybe legislation that's coming up.
Yep.
And so I say you walk down into the main reading room and you ask someone like, what's the current bill on the floor? And people will be like, oh, I just read this weird case on the news or just saw this. Which I feel like is unique to maybe our environment, which could just talk about how kind of nerdy and intellectual everybody is.
We do also, there's the scholarship reception, right, where we get to like see what our professors are writing about.
Mhm.
Like we have so many ways of accessing the academic stuff that's going on. And I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I think most of us like want to and learn about really interesting things.
Mhm. So we're going to pivot completely and talking a lot about academics, our interests, law school related things. We're going to go completely outside of law school in how do you spend your time outside of class or outside of school, maybe in the environment or completely turning your brain off for law and trying to find peace doing something else.
It wasn't until I was about halfway through 2L, because it took me that long to figure it out. But the piece of advice I give everyone I interact with now is take an hour a day for yourself. Like, read for pleasure if you want to read for pleasure. I can't say I know many law students that are like, yes, I still love reading. But like Michaela was saying, like go to the gym, go for a walk. We have a lot of students here who have pets. It's a super pet-friendly area. So, and I know a lot of classmates who are like, I love having one because it makes me go out and take that walk or get some outside time. I know a bunch of people who weren't outdoorsy when they got to Lexington, but they want to hike every trail in the area now.
Yes.
Because there are just really gorgeous mountains around here, so it's hard not to want to.
Lexington's actually really close to Crabtree Falls, which is the largest waterfall, I think, in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
I've been twice, and it's really nice.
I didn't know that.
For me, given that I know the area so much, so I know the surrounding communities. I know Charlottesville, I know Harrisonburg, I know Lynchburg, Roanoke. I take time there and I spend time with friends and family. Part of the reason I chose W&L is because I needed that support with friends and family nearby. So spending time with them, or even if it's just a phone call, I think that's very important. I feel like sometimes a lot of law students feel like we're in a bubble. And so just stepping out of that bubble just to talk to my friends about, what's going on in their lives, to separate myself from what's going on in my life, is always a relief for me because I get to think about their problems, what they're succeeding in, what they're excelling in, and not this 10-page brief that I'm writing currently. I think that's important for me personally.
I think there's something about Lexington where when you step out, to a certain point on campus, or maybe where my house is, you go up the street and you just see the mountains. You see that there's like a world outside of the bubble, like you described. I think that bubble phenomenon is so true. But in Lexington, it's really, really easy to sort of break out of it and to get your space. And I always find that when I get my space and I get time for my brain to kind of recuperate, I'm actually more productive when I come back to law school than if I had spent all that time just working. I feel like at a certain point, you're just sort of getting monotonous, but if you take a break, it helps you be more productive. And I guess the other perspective I'd offer is just, I'm married, and so there are a lot of people at W&L who are here with significant others or spouses. And for me, what that meant is that I was really going to treat law school like sort of not quite a 9 to 5, but something similar to that, because I knew that I wanted to go home and spend time with my spouse. And people have different approaches to that, but for me, what I do is I just kind of go on an 8 to 6 schedule, every day, and I really try to get everything done there. And I make sure that when I'm here, I'm productive, but then I take that space when I get home, which allows me to have the energy to be productive the next day. So there's different approaches. I think sometimes law school gets portrayed as you have to work all hours of the night. You have to work till 3 a.m. For me, that has not been true. You definitely do have to work hard, but I've been able to sort of find that if I make sure that I get my evenings at least, even if I have to work a little bit on the weekend, that really works for me. So it is kind of possible to have a more or less regular schedule plus a few extra hours. But you can kind of make yourself have like more of a full-time job kind of mentality.
I've heard that from a lot of people. I think it kind of depends on where you're coming from. You know, if you've been working before law school,
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to kind of stay on that 9 to 5. If
Yeah.
that's, you know,
For sure.
I came straight through, so I was kind of used to like random study hours
Yeah.
just being a student. But I would say like my semester, this semester is forcing me to be on like a 9 to 5, right, and get into that routine.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that. So I think just finding what works best for you. And I think W&L is really good at allowing students to do that instead of just being like, this is the way to succeed in law school and you have to do this. Because we do have a lot of students who are married. We've got students with kids, like whole families.
Yeah.
We've had students have babies in law school.
And if I can just like
Bless
add,
them.
Yeah.
you know, that gets into, I don't know if we're gonna talk about this, but that gets into the, we have, for those who are looking with families, you know, we do have the law school families group, where people with significant others here, or people with children, you know, we'll have events where we'll go out to breweries and stuff, or we'll like make cookies together and things like that, and, or we'll do stuff where we like, you know, watch football, and we, you know, we have more adult nights, but we also have events that are like, you can bring your kids and stuff, so, it's like, you know, there's definitely, if you have a spouse or you have a significant other that you want to bring to law school, there's a really great, robust community here, where, you know, people who are not law students but who are in Lexington can make those connections and build relationships even though you're not part of the law school.
And commiserate about law students.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Nothing has been more of like a gut check in law school than my friends and family outside of it. They're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
They break you out of the bubble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The bubble,
they
yeah.
make real life.
Mhm.
They bring you back to real life.
Yes, I do think that all of us are also aware of kind of the balance between working really hard but taking time for yourself. Because I can't count the number of times I've texted my friends being like, I'm in the library, and some of them respond being like, get out of
Go
here.
home.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
Like at this point, you might be unlearning what you're
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
do. It is better for you to go eat or to do something for yourself than to sit there longer.
I feel like that's kind of leading what you and I have seen, like the role of the 3L and the evolution of the process. It's like you see a 2L or a 1L like stressed out in the library. It's like, go outside,
Yeah.
please breathe, take care of yourself. I don't think any of us are like, yeah, you need to sit there and
Yeah.
study harder and burn yourself out. It's,
Mm-mm.
I've never heard that advice. It's always the advice that you
Yeah.
just said. It's
Yeah.
always take a break, go home. It's never like, no, dig in more.
Go- yeah.
Never heard that.
I think we have very much all have a culture of like, you will be okay, you will succeed. We've seen people before us succeed, we know we're succeeding, we know it's inevitable that you will too. And I think that's especially hard to see as a 1L, because there never feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but
I fight back on that narrative so much because everything in me tells me to fight back on that narrative, and so I'm still trying to believe, even though I'm succeeding and I have a job and I have all of this, I know what I want to do, I'm still going to fight back. I'm like, no, I need to do more, I need to do more. And I think that's just a common nature of us as law students.
Yes.
We want to be competitive, we want to do as many things as possible, no matter what. But I think it's smarter to take that approach, and even though I'm still hearing it, it's slowly coming to me to know that everything will be okay.
Mhm.
You know, we're all succeeding, and that's definitely unique to W&L. I don't think it's like that at other law
well,
schools.
the faculty and administration are the same way too. That's
Yeah.
why they want us to come to their office hours and just hang
Chill.
out and take a break. You know, they aren't fostering a culture of 24/7 work. They might be doing 24/7 work, but even they acknowledge, they're like, I shouldn't have done this. So I think it's nice to have that reality check of like, you know, you are still a person, you are more than a law student.
Like clockwork, every finals week, I get an email from Professor Peppers, my Torsko professor, saying like, have you eaten dinner? Have you gone outside? Have you done something? Like your grades will happen and you will do fine and you will survive and make it to the next semester. And I always have to respond being like, no, I'm in the library. But I am leaving.
But speaking of finals in the school, like Wendy Rains does all of our exam breaks, and there are snacks
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
wellness
Mhm.
opportunities, meditations, yoga classes, so like plants, pets.
Mhm.
They bring the therapy dogs. So it is. I think it helps to have the school emphasizing that element of like stop for a minute, slow down, eat something,
Mhm.
please.
And they know who you are if you're fighting against that narrative. They're like, Wendy will come to me and is like, hey, what have you been doing all day? And I'm like, I want to tell you, but
You cannot walk past them without them being like, grab a snack,
Yeah.
get something. I don't care if you eat it right now. Take it for later.
Jim Wilson did that to me. I was like walking to the bathroom in front of like the entrance. There's like cupcakes on the table.
Yeah.
She's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Going to the bathroom." She's like, "Eat a cupcake."
I told her I was in class, and she's like, "Get a cupcake."
Eat a cupcake. Take it to class.
You know, she's like so strong. She's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
"Sounds good."
It's hard to say no to a cupcake.
It is. Yeah.
I'm also really good.
Yeah, they were very tasty.
During this past finals week, I think it was the SBA put on the like plant a pot event,
Yeah.
and I was at home in like the midst of my outline. I was like, you know what would make me really happy?
What a
A pot with the plants in it. So I literally got in my car, drove here, which was 30 seconds, by the way. Got a pot, got a plant, and then left. I was like, yeah, that was a great break. We have made it to the list of our pre-curated questions. So if any of you would like to just maybe say one final thing of why you chose W&L to begin with, and what you will treasure about W&L once you leave.
I really wanted like a rigorous academic experience, and I came to law school in part. Like people have different reasons for coming. For some people it's a job. For some people it's this is just what you wanted to do your whole life. And for me, it was really like I was really curious, like sort of academically about the law and stuff. And so I really wanted that like rigorous academic experience. But at the same time, I did not want to go to a place where I felt like it was going to be cutthroat. So I wanted to get like that really high quality education, but I also like really wanted to have a strong community, and that's exactly what happened. So for anybody like that, I would say this is your place. If you want a top-notch education, a legal education, but you also want, to have conversations like this, just super chill. I think this is your place. Did I say everything I needed to?
I think that.
Yeah.
Having gone here for my undergraduate, I really wasn't thinking I wanted to stay in a small town. I thought because I want to work eventually in a bigger city, I was ready to go to law school in a bigger city. And I really explored that option, but it became the things outside of the academics and everything that I really started to value about W&L and made me want to stay. One thing we didn't touch on is because we are connected to the undergraduate campus that we are a part of, you have access to those resources. I know law students who have audited classes on the undergraduate side, you have access to the dining facilities, which on those days where you're here and just not thinking about food, those are great. Our fitness center, like Michaela, you're talking about the strength club uses. We have a doctor on campus, which is really helpful because invariably you get sick during school. And it's nice to not have to find those kind of auxiliary resources when you're a 1L and you're just trying to like learn to brief, learn what you're supposed to do. It's a weight off, so that was one of the things, as well as our sense of community and our trust in each other, right? Like all of us coming, even just to talk to this, we could just leave our stuff somewhere in the law school and go back and it'll be there because we all trust each other and we're like, we want to take care of each other. So those are the things that drew me here, and I think are going to be some things I kind of have to unlearn a little bit, I'm realizing, as I graduate, moving, and it's going to change my lifestyle, but it's just nice to have that commonality too, because you speak to our alumni and they're like, yeah, that's what I loved, that's why I went there, and so you have this shared experience no matter what.
Yeah, to go along with that, I also wanted the academically rigorous environment to, propel myself forward and be challenged by my studies. But I also wanted, like you said, the close-knit community of like camaraderie and people wanting you to do better, do the best you can while still not like putting you down for doing better than them. But I can tell you one thing, that already in my first semester, I think the thing I will miss most once I graduate is like the people here. I've made some of my best friends already because it is such a close-knit community, and that's something that I value highly.
A part of the reason why I came here is because of the faculty. I went to an undergrad university where it's very easy to make connections with the faculty, a lot like here, that was much bigger. So I wanted to keep that sort of theme when I chose a law school. I'm a first generation student, so I had to build a lot of my connections in the legal profession just from the ground up. Just talking to attorneys that I met in my hometown, meeting attorneys, meeting judges, just on the fly and talking to them, building connections. So I wanted that in my law school environment. I think what I will miss is the size of W&L. I think because of our size, we're able to build a lot of connections once we leave also. And while we're here with alumni, I think that's the biggest part of W&L that makes us so famous, is because we still have connections with alum well after we leave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of y'all have had this experience, and I know it's changing now, but I remember I was talking to an alum, and one of the first things they asked me, Lee, and you probably have this, is Shaughnessy still there? Is Professor Murchison still there?
Yeah.
Like, to be able to connect with an alum about like having the same professor, it's really, really nice.
Yeah, so we didn't touch on it as much, our alumni network, but I bet all of you have had experiences like utilizing them. I have kind of, throughout law school, I've developed a very niche interest in higher education law. And when I went to OCS, they were like, okay, we don't really know what to do with this, but we'll look through our whole list of alumni and see who works for universities. And I cold emailed and called everybody on that list, and every single one of them responded. And they were like, we'll tell you what we do. We don't know if you'll be interested in what we do, and we'll meet with you. And that's how I got an externship for this past semester working with one of our alumni. And I don't think that's a unique experience. It happens to every single one of them. And you could connect over professors, but I think you could also just connect, like, you went to W&L? Check.
You went to W&L, you want to do this, you were connected through this, somebody did the same thing for me when I was a law student. They never forget. And I think they're always excited to be like, oh, I get to be that person now.
Yes.
They know it's coming.
Yes.
We know it's coming now.
The sheer joy of being a mentor to someone else,
Yeah.
and like, yes, someone did this to me, let me do it for you.
When somebody like emailed me and was like, I think I want to do this job, and I like loved it. Was my W&L summer, it was like my favorite. And so they were like, I want to do it. I was like, yes, you do. Here's why.
It's actually funny, I had an interview this morning, and it was with someone who graduated from W&L, and he was still stressing to me the importance of our alumni network to one graduation.
Sir, you are the alumni.
Yeah, I know.
But they use
That's
each
funny.
other too. Like I've heard of several that were like, oh yeah, it's only because like I knew they were an alum and I wanted to do this, and they helped me move to an area or whatever. Like it's not just that they want to help students; they help each other too.
If anyone would like to say any parting remarks or anything that they didn't get to touch upon? Nope, if not, thank you all for being here.